Governor Green wants to convert 3,000 short-term rentals into long-term housing for displaced Maui residents and threatens enforcement if owners don't cooperate. Bryce Moore has the story.
Governor Green says over 6,000 people, or about 3,000 families, are still in hotels after being displaced by the fires. He adds there are between 12 to 14,000 short-term rentals on island, which could be used to house them long-term.
It's just not okay that we don't have housing for our local people. And so I will propose a moratorium on short-term rentals through emergency rules. I'm sure we will face litigation, but I will do it if we don't get 3,000 units for our people who have been living in hotels.
Green says the hammer will drop in mid-January unless enough short-term rental owners step forward to transition to long-term, and also announcing $1.5 million settlements will go out by mid-2024 to families of victims of the fire if they agree to no further litigation.
If they're going to get a much better deal long-term, they should take it. I mean, that's fine, but I want to make sure people have a chance to heal sooner, and they'll be able to get the settlement wrapped up really quickly.
But he says housing is top of mind, and incentives are being offered for short-term rental owners to convert, like an 18-month property tax break and fair market value payments.
The average amount of money that people get from short-term rentals is 352% of the base rent that people would pay. We're here to basically offer you what you got paid in the previous year, and you're going to benefit presumably from this tax break.
Lahaina Strong organizer Jordan Ruidis was happy with the news, but concerns are there with fair market payments being so high.
With the funding they have, they might not be able to house as much as they thought because they're offering so much rent. But I do have one owner where she said she was offered $6,000 a month for a one-bedroom, and she told them, that's too much, I'm not going to take that. And they're like, just take it.
The governor said only a few dozen owners have volunteered so far, adding 2,000 out of the 3,000 needed units will be paid for by FEMA, with the state funding the remaining 1,000. Bryce Moore, KHON2 News, working for Hawaii.
Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. What I just played was a clip of some of the things that are going on in Maui. It's been a while since I've done any content on it. There's been so many different stories coming out of what's been happening, and especially now with the toxic ash that they're looking to dump, on top of the fact of they're still trying to find housing for all the displaced victims from the fire. But before I continue, don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, and share the channel around. Give it a thumbs up. If you want to help to support the channel, in my description there's a link to my Cash App and PayPal. Also, I want to thank all my new subscribers and all my subscribers to the channel, and on YouTube and on Rumble. And again, one more thing I want to say is Merry Christmas to everybody. I know that a lot of people are going through a lot, especially case in point, the fire victims in Lahaina and Maui. The next clips I'm going to show you, one of them is by Hawaii Real Estate. I'll leave a link in my description to his clip, and we'll get back to this housing thing in a minute. I want to show the clip of the concerns that people have of them dumping the debris ash and stuff like that not too far actually from the fire. I believe it's about 5 miles away, but where they're dumping it is not exactly what the people want because of the environmental risk that they know that will happen. Case in point, just like some of the chemicals, the way they'll be seeping into the dirt and going out into, from what I can tell, basically underneath the ground, it'll be going into the water, into the coral. It'll just be environmentally hazardous. Okay, but it looks like that the governor and the mayor, they've already made up their mind, you know, saying that they're going ahead with it instead of trying to get a vote from the people. And people may say, well, you know, that they're doing what's in, you know, what's in the best interest of, you know, of the community, but I find that hard to believe considering the fact that, you know, the powers that be in Hawaii, they're more than willing to give all kinds of construction permits to, like the highest bidder, i.e. celebrities. Let's put it that way. And I'll show you a clip on what I mean. So without further ado, I'll play the next clip and listen to what this gentleman has to say about the chemicals, all the toxic chemicals that are going to be transported to the. They're saying is not a dumping ground or a landfill. It's supposed to be a temporary area to dump this stuff. How temporary? Who knows? But let's continue.
There's so many problems, it's even hard to elaborate on just one. For instance, the site that they want to use as a temporary site is known to be the ovaries of Pele. So if you want to look at history and part of a culture, do you want to tear a piece of the mountain down that's like a part of history and culture and what people have grown up with? One side. Environmentally, it's a cinder pit. It's sitting on 2 water tables. It's 1,000 yards from the ocean. Everything about it is wrong. And I don't want to put any blame on anyone because people are doing the best they can with the knowledge and the resources they have.
Right.
So what we need to do is we need to look at all the options until there are none left to exhaust before we decide we're going to put in a toxic dump site that it could affect us for years and years to come. Generations. Right. And we don't see it here, what's happening in front of us. So we need solutions. And one of those solutions is what Brittany here does. And so I think we should just hand it to her and let her talk about what the solution is.
Before we do that, could you just expand a little bit? Because one of the questions that you asked that the Army Corps of Engineers sort of refused to answer is the topic of dioxins. And I don't think a lot of people understand just how toxic dioxins are. So
right.
Maybe you could just give us a quick 30-second.
I wish I had my paperwork right now just so I could arm you with the facts, but dioxin is known to be supposedly actually the most toxic man-made chemical and the 5th most known naturally occurring chemical for as far as toxicity on the planet. These are known as the dirty dozen, the forever chemicals, and they come out of plastics that anything that is treated with chlorine, PVC, all these polyvinyl chlorides, anything that has that word chloride in it, when it burns, it produces dioxins and furans. And so these, and she's a scientist, she can tell you a lot better than I can on this, but the idea that we think we can just pick up burnt PVC in our pipe in our yard, and really that's super toxic. So people are totally unaware of this, and that means that the county is unaware of it. Even the FEMA guy, I don't think he even knew what dioxins were. It looked like he was checking his phone to find out after we told him. So he's telling us about it's safe because they have these monitors. And I'm asking him, do these monitors pick up dioxin? You know why he couldn't answer that? Because the monitors do not pick up dioxin. That's not how.
Okay, so that was just some of what I was talking about. I'll play the rest of it, or a little more of it, I should say. I find it hard to believe that they're fast tracking this thing so quickly that they're not listening to what the residents, what the natives of Lahaina and Maui are trying to tell them. Okay, the Hawaiian people, they take their land very seriously, but obviously some people that are in charge will use that to their advantage. And by that, what I mean is this: when the fire started, okay, the guy that was in charge of regulating the water, he took it upon himself to shut the water down, supposedly shut the water down, because it was sacred. Okay, even though countless video shows there was water running. Okay, but now they're going to turn that around and say, okay, well, we're going to take all the toxic ash and we're going to go bury it in an area that's very porous. Okay, could most likely be washed away. They won't answer how long it's going to sit there for. Because remember, where they're putting it, in that one area a few miles away, they say it's temporary. So if it's temporary, number one, how long will it stay there? Number two, have you 100% checked out all the debris to find out how toxic it is? How are you going to package it? And when the time comes to remove it, in what state, in what condition will the area be? In other words, like if you put it in you put some of it in a barrel, you bury it. Let's say they want to take it to a permanent spot in 5 years. Will that barrel have wasted away inside the ground, which means that all the toxins have already spilled through? And if not, then how are they going to dig it out, and where are they going to put it? You know, in this country, there are many facilities where they have like these giant, how can I say, I don't have the right word for it. I guess I want to say fire pits, for lack of a better term, where they burn chemicals. I mean, the fires are so hot that they'll burn the chemicals to like it doesn't exist anymore, because they're trying to protect the environment. They know that they can't just let something burn and burn and burn into the air. Why Hawaii hasn't like chosen a path like that is beyond me. Okay, what I find really concerning, where I've been watching a lot of videos the past week and nobody's brought it up, why do they have 400,000 tons of this debris and they can't take it off the island? But after the fire happened and they put up that black fence, obviously to keep people from seeing what they were doing, what exactly did they do in the area? And people were told that they were cleaning the area up. So where did they take that debris? And what did they do with it? You know? So, you know, there's still this veil of secrecy, no matter what people are trying to say to make everybody else feel comfortable. There's just too many contradicting factors here. Okay, and like I said, I find it hard that they're going to go and pick a spot not too far, knowing very well that obviously there are, I hate to say it this way, but there are, you know, remains left, lots and lots of remains left in a lot of this debris. So when you're talking to a people that everything is sacred to them on their island, their way of life, the island, everything on the island is sacred to them. This, in my opinion, I'm just saying, maybe some people are okay with this, but in my opinion, I think this is sort of sacrilege. Okay? It's as if they're going to take all this, you know, all this debris that still has, you know, human remains in it, in the form of ash, okay, and they're going to go bury it. So it's like you're making a temporary graveyard just to uproot it all over again later on. And on top of that, with all the chemicals that could be potentially hazardous to the people, to the ground, to the sea life, if it gets into the water. They said it's only 1,000 yards from the ocean. That's not very far. Anybody could walk 1,000 yards, I'd say, in about 20 minutes. I mean, something like that. I mean, it's not hard to walk 100 yards. Okay, that's the length of a football field. So 10 football fields. I mean, it's not that far from the ocean, which means that one would think that part of the island is not that far. How can I say? In other words, water goes underneath islands and stuff like that. So there's really not that much room for safety when it comes to the ocean eroding the ground, in my opinion. It's only 1,000 yards. But let's continue.
Oh, it works.
And you also
have to do
this is what a lot of things are wrapped in, right? The coax and the different wires.
Exactly. So they actually claim in a house, due to the construction standard where the numbers come from, that 1 to 2 linear feet of PVC per square foot of house. So 1,000 square foot of house will have 2,000 square feet, linear feet of PVC material. So if you add it up, it means there's millions and millions of linear feet in Lahaina that is considered the highest toxin. So why is the EPA only considering batteries and household items toxic when they need to be looking at the whole of the ash as toxic? And we know that, so like, yeah.
Well, what I found really interesting is they have a pamphlet that they handed out here with FAQs. And the very first FAQ, this was my question that they didn't read, the very first FAQ says they didn't test any of the ash in Lahaina. They're going by a test on the ash done in Kula. But they say in their own pamphlet they didn't even test the ash in Lahaina.
Right.
That's crazy, isn't that crazy?
You see right there, you see these are red flags. And let me tell you something, people. When I first started, when all this first started, I was putting videos out on this months ago. You know, I said that they're going to make it impossible and they're going to keep finding ways to say that the ground is contaminated. And in my opinion, they're going to, I feel that they're going to lead to that in order to keep people from going back to that part of Lahaina. Okay, and I say that for a couple of things. One, Governor Green is forcing people that have short-term rentals to give long-term housing. Okay, I mean they're going after condo owners and stuff like that, and it's almost as if, okay, you know what? I understand that you want the people that are displaced to find somewhere to stay, but these past few months that have gone by, you let a certain group of people in, let them do whatever cleanup they wanted. In my opinion, it was a cover-up cleanup. Okay, whatever it was that they were trying to get out of there, proof, in my opinion, of who knows what. But then you don't test the ground enough to say that it's toxic. They kind of play with the fact of here and there saying that certain things are toxic, but they're not putting out 100% of what's toxic. First, they said that they had to dig into the ground. I believe one of the last videos was about 3 feet into the ground to scoop it up because of all the toxic chemicals. So if you knew that back then, why didn't you find a way to get all that off the island? Because obviously some stuff was taken off the island. Whatever they did behind that black fence, stuff was taken off the island. And then rumor went around saying that the reason was that they have boats coming in and they were dumping everything into the boats and they were shipping it off the island. Well, why can't they do the same thing now for all the, you know, all this toxic material? It just seems, it just seems almost convenient that they're going to do something like this, so like that later on they could come out and say, you know what, well, we tried but we were wrong and now nobody can move into that area. Okay, I mean they still have the aid where they're trying to buy people out for, I believe is $1.5 million buyout with the stipulation that you don't pursue anything after that. You know, so it just seems really strange. Another thing that I find strange is that the Army Corps is involved in this. Okay, doesn't the military have any better way to handle the situation, to get rid of debris? You know, I mean, it seems as if they're still trying to make people believe that what they're doing is for the betterment of everybody that's been affected by this. But it just almost sounds at the same time that they're still going to run their agenda of trying to take over Lahaina and Maui. But let's continue.
It's really crazy. So we're taking tests ourselves, and we have some that are going out real soon that will be tested from site specific, and we're going to show the test results to the public, and we're going to put them in a fashion that they're readable. We have all the reports that came in from the county, and they're hard for the scientists to decipher. So it's like, how's the county going to look at this .00 and really have a clue? They have to take the word of FEMA, Corps of Engineers, the health department, and it seems like there's a huge disarray within that. You know what I mean? So there's left hand isn't talking to the right hand. And so when you come in and you tell...
And if you ask me right there from what he's saying, it almost seems by design. Because I find it hard to believe that after all these months that have passed, that the Army Corps, FEMA, the government, the local officials, the health department, EPA, I don't understand how they have not gotten together and put all that data together to say, okay, this is what we're up against. Okay, these are the guidelines we have to go by. This is what we're up against. This is what the people are up against. This is what we need to do. And it just seems like nobody wants to take responsibility. And if I had to guess, it's because they're trying to hide so much proof that it's almost like plausible deniability. Let's put it that way. In other words, you won't be able to blame any individual entity when the truth comes out. You know, and then they can all play stupid and say, well, we had to do things on our own. This is why we never got together. Because if they do, then you can blame all of them at the same time, not just one. It's almost as if they're using excuses as a scapegoat, if that makes any kind of sense. But let's continue.
Tell someone, hey, you can't pick up burnt PVC, it's toxic. They're completely unaware of this.
No idea.
And so that's why we have to let people know that because you can't taste it, you can't touch it, you can't see it, that it's probably the most dangerous of anything because what it's going to affect the future generations.
And if you put it 1,000 feet from the, or 1,000 yards from the ocean, or 2,000 feet, that's inconceivable, actually, in Pele's womb. And then they also talk about this permanent site, but have they really gone into detail with what the temporary site looks like, where this ash could sit for maybe up to 2 years before it gets moved yet again?
Well, let's look at the other temporary sites that it's ever been dumped in. They all still have the material in them. I don't believe there's actually been a toxic site that the material that's been put in there has actually been removed out of.
Right.
And let's check the numbers so we say this the right way. But that's the understanding of the information that's coming to me right now. So we have to be conscious of how we say it so it's not picked apart. But we should be asking them, is there ever a toxic site that was meant to be temporary that you actually dug up and moved to somewhere else? I don't think it's been done. I think it's worth looking at and people to ask the questions themselves. And I think they have no intention, the Army Corps of Engineers, of making that site and then moving it. Now you've destroyed this cultural site. What are you going to do after you move it?
Right.
What's that?
It's funny they keep mentioning the Army Corps of Engineers, and I bring that up for a reason. 9/11 back home in New York, when they did the cleanup, there should have been a major investigation because it was actually a crime scene. Okay, on a very big level. Okay, we went to war over that. Okay, they wanted to clean up the area quickly. Now some people say, well, it was because it was downtown, Manhattan, and in the heart of around millions and millions and millions of people. I get it. But I don't remember, and if I'm wrong, I'll have to pick it apart if somebody points me in the right direction. I don't remember the Army Corps of Engineers ever getting involved. Okay? Because that's not a title, that's not a phrase that you could keep repeating, and nobody, and it not be beaten into somebody's head. Ever since the fire in Maui, everything... A lot of things that have been said about the Army Corps of Engineers, it just shows that they've been in this since day one. But my thing is this: why? Why is the Army Corps of Engineers playing a big role since this happened? And I know some people will say, well, let's not go down that rabbit hole. But it just seems strange that they're in the thick of this with all the other agencies, and yet the rumor about certain weapons being used because of the way the fire reacted, I should say the way it reacted and the way it acted. So I don't know if anybody's picked up on that, but if you keep mentioning FEMA, you keep mentioning the EPA, the health department, that's normal. But to keep mentioning the Army Corps of Engineers, they went in, they cleaned up, but obviously the question comes back. What exactly did they clean up when they had that black fencing up? But let's continue.
Site now decimated.
And you called the Army Corps out this evening on the fact that they've already began construction on the temporary and the permanent site without any authorization, essentially.
Did you notice how quiet they were about that and how quick they left without getting any questions?
I did, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, wow. I didn't even watch this video. I just sent my comment. And for him to come out and say this, again, that's exactly what they did when they had the black fencing up. They went in, they did what they did, and then they disappeared. And if you remember the drone footage after there was the media blackout was lifted, I believe Hawaii Real Estate was one of them, or maybe the first one to put his drone up, and everything was put in piles. There was nobody left over. I mean, no groups of people still testing soil, nothing. They were like ghosts. They came in and they left, gone. So it just makes you wonder, if they're doing it again to dump this stuff in a site, why are they involved? Why are the powers that be, why is the local government and the state government using the military, okay, to do certain things, but it's almost as if they're using them covertly? Why is that? But let's continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious there's a big money thing going on or something.
Oh, absolutely.
And so for those guys, they already have, like, if you look at it, it's mostly done. They're like, it's ridiculous how much work they've done already. And so if there's any possibility, they say we, the community, have the chance to overturn it, go look at it. Does it look like we have a chance?
I don't think, I'm going to cut it off real quick. I don't think that it's mainly a money thing. Okay? What I think is this. I think that since the military is trained to go in, handle their business, and leave within a short amount of time, that there's less room for evidence to be found. In other words, if they would have got a private company or a couple of private companies to do what they needed done, there's more how can I say, there's more chance of a regular civilian sticking their nose in and finding out information that obviously, that they're saying that they should have. So if you have the military do it, it's mum's the word. Let's get in there. Let's do what we got to do. Let's get out. We're done our part. So like that, there's no room for anybody to give anybody time to find answers for whatever it is they're looking for. That at least that's the way I see it. But let's continue.
To overturn it?
They've already done it. And even tonight's very meeting is not even posted on the MauiRecovers.org website. You cannot find it.
Yeah.
I challenge anybody to find a place where they advertise this meeting, thanks to you putting the word out, and then my channel, and I'm sure other people, but they're trying not to make this known, in my opinion. So
yeah, I think we should try to be somewhat conscious with the county, because I know a lot of these folks, and I know they have a lot of good intention. I would put it more on FEMA, EPA, all these bigger guys that are looking at billions. No, I'm just saying myself, I'm ignorant.
You can put it on their website, right?
Right, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, locally, we're all trying.
If they want community input, then they should ask the community to come.
I agree. So there's some flaws in that, but I'm not.
Okay, I'm going to cut it right there because there's about 10 minutes left to the video. I'm going to leave a link in the description so you guys can go check it out. There's a couple of other clips I want to play. But it is true what he's saying. The way they're trying to keep it hush-hush. And you would think that from the beginning they would have made it a community effort. They would have brought everybody in. It's like right now they're saying that the mayor's office is cordoned off. Nobody can go there. It's off limits. Now I understand some people would say, well, it's because the mayor's going through a lot and a lot of people are going to bombard his office. I get that, but you could easily handle all that with just regular security being there in an orderly fashion and deal with the people's concerns. But it's as if they're trying to push everybody out, trying to keep it quiet. Let's fast track all these community meetings. If somebody doesn't show up, well, that's just too bad. Let's listen to what. We'll nod yes to everybody. Okay, we understand. We understand your concerns, but we're still going to do it this way. You still have no say so. So if you want to sell your property, here's 1.5 million. You can't pursue anything after that. If not, you can try to get more in the long term. And the long term meaning that I still stand by what I believe, that they're gonna drag this out and make this so hard, information wise, and make it so hard on the natives because they want that land. Okay? And there's something, if you're still with me, there's something very important I want to show everybody, which will be the last clip. But I'm going to show the next clip of what the news in Maui is showing. Let's continue.
Maui County is holding a community meeting tonight on how wildfire debris will be removed. Right now, it's being held at a temporary site in West Maui, but several community members are pushing back. Our Chelsea Davis is live in Lahaina now with more. Chelsea?
Yes, Steph, I'm outside the Lahaina Civic Center where that meeting is set to begin in less than 30 minutes. Officials with the county and federal agencies are inside setting up right now. And as you can see behind me, community members are already showing up. And this is a very controversial topic. Officials with the county as well as federal agencies will be offering information and updates about debris removal, transportation, and containment of debris and ash for properties in the Lahaina wildfire disaster area. The EPA has already removed hazardous materials from over 1,400 residential and commercial properties, but 173 properties were deferred because...
Okay, now I'm going to stop it right here. Okay, now you hear what they're telling the people about all the toxins. You seen on the last clip of that gentleman talking about all the toxins that are in the dirt and all that. If I remember correctly, this was some of the earlier footage of the cleanup. Okay, as you can see, these guys here cleaning up. This guy has just a regular mask on, regular dust mask. Same thing with him. And that guy, I don't know if he does or he doesn't. It kind of looks like he doesn't, but he might. This is all the debris and stuff that they're talking about. But look at the way they're handling this. Okay? So, if they're handling this so carelessly, you would think they'd have all these heavy masks on and stuff like that. You would think that, you know, they would have came from the beginning and said, especially in the beginning, when everything was still hot and smoldering. I mean, the chemicals are like really, really ripe, for lack of a better term. Okay? But they're not. And this is where it gets confusing for me. This is why I got to start thinking outside the box. Okay, so stay with me. We all know that in a fire, yes, there are heavy chemicals. Okay? Being born and raised in a big city, you see a lot of fires. And when they come and do cleanup, they don't go crazy cordoning off the whole neighborhood if there's a fire in a private house or something like that. Where basically the same building materials are used in Hawaii. Wood, plastics, I mean the same thing, PVC, metals, all kinds of stuff. Okay? So I look at all this and I'm like, what's going on here? Okay? If they're saying that this stuff is so toxic, then why are these people handling it and not like fully clothed? Some of my earlier videos that I showed when people were able on the inside behind the black fencing, that they showed, people in military gear doing cleanup, they were the same way. As a matter of fact, a lot of the military personnel didn't even have any kind of like white coats and uniforms and stuff like that on. They just had their military gear on with no mask, nothing at all. So what's going on that they're saying that this stuff is toxic? The only thing that I could think of is that they're setting the stage. They're going to keep with a narrative that all this is toxic, toxic, toxic. And then where it's going to lead off to, you know what? It's too toxic. So we really can't let a lot of people back on. We really can't let anybody own their properties. So the least amount of people that own the properties, it makes it easier for a bigger corporation to come in and buy off the rest of the property. You see where I'm going with this? Because if this debris is so toxic, then why are they going to take it and bury it not too far from the burn zone and literally but a few minutes from the ocean in an area where they say the ground is very porous? It's not like they're drilling into the ground where they found some cave and they're going to dump everything inside of a cave and seal it off. They're not doing that. It's not like they're taking it to the side of one of the mountains in Hawaii and say, you know what, since this is owned by the government and it's inside the side of a mountain, we can easily bury everything in there, throw some dynamite in it, let the inside of the mountain implode on its own and just bury it completely where nobody can get to it ever again. They're not doing anything like that. I know it's a little far-fetched, but I hope everybody understands what I'm trying to say. So when I look at this, I'm like, something is just not right. That they're having meetings. Some of them are being, shown. Some of them are being advertised. Many are not. They keep talking about all this toxic, debris and all that. But once again, everything just sounds too contradictory. I mean, the Army Corps of Engineers was there first. They took stuff out in the beginning off the island. And now they're having a hard time doing the same thing again. And it's only going to be temporary. So then where's the permanent place going to be? And in what manner is that going to be built where they can dump everything permanently? Or is all this just smoke and mirrors? But let's continue.
Because of unsafe conditions. So right now the plan is to transport a total of 400,000 tons of ash and debris to a landfill in Oluwalu, but that's stirring up environmental concerns.
There is also a permanent site that we're looking at. We've gone through some proposals, examined.
This woman right here, didn't mean to cut it off so soon. I don't trust her as much as I can pick her up and throw her. Okay. Everybody knows that she's Mayor Bison's lapdog. So anything coming out of this woman's mouth, I take with a grain of salt, in all honesty. But let's continue.
And 8 different other locations on island. That final site has not been determined. So it's important we feel that the public understand that right now we have a very quick need to place ash debris in a temporary site, and that the final site is a completely separate operation.
Opponents say the small West Maui site is too close to the ocean and fear toxic chemicals like asbestos, copper, and lead will lead to problems in the future. And we'll have much more from them later tonight on Hawaii News Now. Again, this meeting starts at 5:30 right here at the Lahaina Civic Center. It is open to the public, but if you can't come down in person, it will be live streamed on the County of Maui Facebook page.
Okay, now I don't know the date and time when that meeting was going to take place. But yeah, this news clip, I found, strange just looking at, the pictures and stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, it contradicts what they're saying about the toxins because these people were cleaning up, months ago. And from what I remember, a lot of that footage is from months ago where those toxins should have been strong. And now they're saying, they're going to put it in an area where the people are afraid, because of the environment, as they should be. Okay, especially long term. And it's in West Maui. It's only 5 miles. From the burn zone. But then I found something else strange, that they can't find a permanent place now, where they can build something or dig into the ground deep enough and say, listen, let's have a memorial, because obviously we know when all this is being picked up, there's still a lot of people missing. There's still a lot of remains, sadly, very sadly. But let's dump it deep enough where it can't go any further than what it is. It can't seep up the ground onto the surface, and then we can make it a memorial. And some people will say, well, where could they do that in Hawaii? And I say, well, they know where, because these are the areas where they sell to the highest bidder. Okay? And this is what I'm trying to talk about. Here we go.
Now imagine you have all the resources in the world, including abundance of money. What will you do? Well, some might buy luxurious items, properties, and so on. But guess what? What is the world's 7th richest man doing with the money he owns? Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, has started to prepare for the doomsday. Yes, The Facebook founder is creating a compound which also features a doomsday bunker. He is creating this compound in Hawaii. The compound is located on the Hawaiian island of Maui.
Okay, let me stop it right there. Okay. See, this is what I'm trying to talk about, people, that, you know, you would think that they would take all that debris and take it off island to one of the other islands. Okay? Like, I don't know if I pronounce it right, Kauai or Kauai. Forgive me if my, you know, for being ignorant and not knowing how to pronounce that. But it's like, you can sell property to these crooked ass billionaires like Mark Zuckerberg. He's a snake within a snake, in my opinion. And give them the permits to dig deep into the ground to build a bunker. Now, people, when they build a bunker, they don't go 10 feet underground. Do you actually think that this man is going to build a bunker that anybody could get to? No, he's going to dig deep into that island, into that ground, to protect himself from chemical attacks, bombs, whatever the case is. For whatever reason he's doing this, which I'm going to tell you why I think he's doing this. But you could do the same thing. You can take all those toxic chemicals off of Lahaina, send them to one of the other islands, make a memorial, like I said, dump everything, seal it off so people can still go visit, but there's no threat of contamination. But they won't. They won't do that. They'd rather stick it somewhere temporary. So it may, I'm not saying that they're doing it for it to affect the ground, but if I was the governor, I'd say, you know what, that just sounds like, you know, with the way the construction is going to go, we don't have, you know, we can't wait 2 years. You know, we can't start doing construction and then be derailed in 2 years to start moving this stuff all over again. In other words, let's sit down, let's find out a good spot, let's get it done one time. But they're not. But they can sell property to a snake like this dude amongst many other high-level celebrities that I'm sure people on Hawaii who watch this video will know, that they're selling them land and they're doing the same thing. They're just building whatever they want. And they're making it, and they're fast-tracking everything. Okay? For them to get their work done and for them to get, you know, the powers that be get paid off. Now, some people may say, well, you know what? He has the money, he can do that. That's you know, that's true. But this is what I think, and I'm going back to something I said months ago, okay, about the 15-minute smart city. If anybody goes back and looks at my video, I said that the biggest player that wants this is Mark Zuckerberg. Because when it comes to the information highway, when it comes to being cahoots with the federal government, everybody knows that Mark Zuckerberg has sold himself to the government. That's why he can censor, do whatever he wants. He donated nearly $800 million to the Democratic Party, something that's totally illegal. He should have been in prison 30 times over for doing that, but he didn't because the government has his back. If anybody thinks that there's any other person on the planet that will have a bigger stake in a 15-minute city other than him, you might be right. But my guess is that he is the biggest player in the 15-minute city. That's why he wants to be close and he wants to build himself something that is basically, how can I say, that something is going to protect him from society when they catch wind. And what better way to be close to your biggest investment is to not be that far from it, but be in a secure area. He's not going to live in the 15-minute city, we know that. But he'll stay close by his puppy. You know? Now, this is just my opinion, people. It's just my opinion. Okay? Now, some people who say, well, what does he have to do with the cleanup? He has a lot to do with the cleanup. Do you actually think he bought that property on the island for cheap? Where did that money go to? Who do you think is getting paid off for all the permits and all that? A lot of the money he's going to spend to build that is going to the political officials in Hawaii. Why can't they use that money to get rid of all the debris a little better? You know, there's some heavy hitters on Hawaii. Okay, they have a lot of money combined. You people already know the names. Why is it so hard for the governor, who is actually the one that, you know, makes the final rules in Hawaii? Why is it so hard for him to listen to the people and make the right calls of what the people want, not what he thinks is fit? Because if the people in Hawaii are saying that they don't want that on the island, why can't he listen to them? If the people on the island say they don't want long-term housing, why can't he listen to them? If the people on Hawaii say we want to get back into the fire zone, we want to help rebuild on our own, why doesn't he listen to them? But they'll go and give permits to Mark Zuckerberg to build a freaking doomsday bunker. I'm going to show you the rest of this clip and then, you know, we'll wrap it up. But look at what's going to entail what he wants to build on this island. Let's continue.
Conservative estimates put the total price of the compound at $100 million, which comprises underground bunkers, luxurious mansions, and other self-reliant features. The massive $1 million project will have its own sources of food and energy. The secret project, which the...
Did you hear that? It's going to have its own sources of food and energy. How are they going to supply that man that, and yet it's so hard for them to supply the same thing for the victims in Lahaina? Let's continue.
Meta chief is apparently hiding from the public is called Kula Ranch. The project, which revealed that ranch is one of the most expensive personal construction projects in modern history. And it is under construction and consists of dozens of buildings, which includes 2 main mansions, which will be connected through a tunnel. The tunnel will lead to an underground shelter, which will have an emergency exit.
Emergency exit to where? You know, it's funny that Oprah Winfrey, the rumor goes that she was able to hire her own fire department to be on standby for her property. Where did she get which fire department did she get the resources from? You know, this is not on the mainland, people. It's not like she was in California and she hired a fire department on standby, a voluntary one from Texas, and said, no, this is an island. Where does she, if the rumor is true, where does she get those firefighters from? Where is Mark Zuckerberg going to get his own food resources and electricity? You know, all these rich players are picking Hawaii apart. Now, Hawaii is, I've never been there, but I'm told that it is paradise on earth. But now these rich people are making it into their own paradise, their own futuristic paradise. Okay? Where when all this stuff was going on, I mean, the videos of FEMA not letting people, you know, take whatever food was being sent in and all kinds of stuff and denying people access to many things, but yet to the highest bidder, they're gonna give them access to everything. Every single thing. So all this money is being raked in just between Mark Zuckerberg, Oprah Winfrey, and that other guy that owns one of the other islands. I can never remember his name. I mean, the money that is being given to the state of Hawaii, it's got to be in the hundreds of millions. Where's all that money going? It's not like they're giving them the money and saying, okay, you're going to provide all the building material for us. No. They're just buying the island. That's it. You give me money. It's like if I rented out my garage to somebody and said, listen, all I want is $100 a month. That's it. That's all I got to do is collect it. What I do with that 100 is my business. What they park inside that garage is their business. So where is all the money that these celebrities are paying to Hawaii that they don't have enough to do 10 times more of what they're doing now for the fire victims of Hawaii? And for setting up, and I'm not going to end this video with forgetting, and for setting up a massive investigation of how many people are still missing and how many children are still missing. Because I've let these videos play and you've heard them say about the contamination and that there still remains. But they still say that the number of people that passed away was 99. And they're stuck on that. So why would you even emphasize the fact that there still remains of people in all that ash? What exactly were the Army Corps of Engineers doing in the beginning behind that black fence? That's what people need to know and start from there. But anyway, that's what I got for you. If you like the content, don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Pass it around. If you're at a Christmas party and you just happen to take 10 minutes to yourself, watch my video, walk back inside, go to your family and friends, say, everybody open up your cell phones, go to YouTube, check out True Outlaw Patriot. He's up and coming. He needs subscribers. Okay, that'd be a great Christmas present for me. And if you want to help support the channel, in my description is a link to my Cash App and my PayPal. If you really want to help the channel, subscribing, that goes a very, very long way. And also, before I forget, starting the new year, as soon as I get the merchandise in, I'm putting out one of my shirts, putting on my first design. I hope it flies off the shelf so I can come up with the next couple of designs that I have in mind, get some merchandise going for the channel so everybody can buy and be a part of the movement. This is a movement, people. So remember, Merry Christmas, and till the next one, remember, stay vigilant, keep praying, and keep praying for each other. Merry Christmas. Peace.